What's up, guys? How's it going, everyone? Ooh, how's everyone doing this Sunday? Sunday. What's up, Tyrod? What's going on, dude? What's up, Gabe, Preston, Iron Blocks, Tyrod, Buddy, Luke? What's going on, guys? All right, dude. So we're your brother's safe. All right, that's good. All right, guys. So we're trying something new today again. So I think I made it clear the other day, but just in case people weren't here to hear or hear the message. So on Sundays, at least throughout the NFL season, the plan is for Preston and I to get together and do this weekly NFL review preview. So basically, in general, the way that we're gonna handle this stuff is general format is basically we're gonna be reviewing the Thursday night game or any games that came before Sunday. I did say your name, Buddy. What are you talking about? I said Buddy. So we're gonna review any games that took place before Sunday, and then preview any games that are taking place on Sunday. So for the current NFL week. I mean, how could I? I said your name earlier, dude. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I don't know what you're talking about, man. All right, guys. So before we do that, actually, I just wanted to, for anyone who hasn't seen this already, there's actually a site that you can go to if you want to check out Irma, the progress of Irma, like where it sits right now. As you can see, I found this last night. I thought this was really cool. You have Irma right here on the left side, just south of Florida, of course, and then this is Jose out here. But just kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So like we're kind of around 11 right now, right? So they said Irma hit Key West right now, so that's kind of where it's at right now. So, and then for the duration of Irma, the way it's supposed to head is it's supposed to hug this west coast of Florida. So it will cover practically the entire state because you see a lot of heavy stuff over here on the outskirts, but the eye of the storm is literally going to rest on the west coast of Florida. So I think that's kind of a good thing, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, it's still probably not great, but it's still probably better than the eye coming straight down the middle. So like places like Jacksonville, it looked like they were going to get hit hard originally. I mean, they'll probably get hit quite a bit, but they don't look like they're as bad off as they were originally seeming to be. So, and then if you notice, you have Jose out here in the Caribbean. So this is kind of interesting. If you watch Jose, he like spins around. Look, he spins around. He goes back west or east, then swings back around. He'll swing back around. Now, Jose is interesting, too, because, look, it starts to get towards Florida. Then it says, nope. Oh, wait, actually, no, they must have changed this. So now it looks like Jose's not even going to touch land. Or at least it'll actually end up hitting, but wow, it'll actually hit up higher north than originally expected. So last night, Jose was supposed to clear, like, hit up Virginia Beach and the Carolinas over here pretty bad, or at least it would get halfway through there, but now it looks like it's actually going to pass it all together and head straight up to Boston. So how about that? If you live in Boston, you may be at risk because that thing's coming right there. That thing is right there. So that's what's going on with Jose right now. So that changed from yesterday. So every day this thing can change. So, but it was yesterday. It was going to hit Virginia Beach in this area, the North Carolina. It was going to hit all this, but now it's gone even further north, according to the thing today. So I just wanted to show you guys that because I thought that was pretty interesting. I'll put the link in chat actually. If you guys want to take a look at that and track Irma and Jose. Pray for Gabe. Pray for Gabe. All right, guys. So what we are going to do here. So Preston and I are going to start up with this thing. So let me go ahead and got Preston in here now.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
What? You're late. Why are you late? How dare you be late, Tyrod? Don't be late. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and start. I'm going to have to add some of these things as we go along because I didn't really set up stuff last night.
Oh, okay.
So the first thing that we're going to open up with is the NFL news and updates. So most of you should probably know about this stuff. If you don't already, you will. So what we're going to do is cover at least a handful of updates each week. I think the most significant things that could impact you even from a fantasy perspective, because most of them pretty much do have some type of fantasy impact, but either way they're not necessarily meant to just cover fantasy impact, just so you know something about your teams that you follow. So do you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say go ahead and start with the NFL news.
Okay. All right, guys. So the first thing we got is so as of Thursday night's game, so Eric Berry is now out for the season with an Achilles injury. So that could be a huge blow to the Chiefs defense, possibly. He was responsible primarily for his man coverage with Gronk against the Patriots.
Yeah, he basically shut Gronk down the whole game.
Yeah. So that could be a huge loss for them, maybe. I mean, or maybe in a potential rematch later in the postseason. There's a chance that that could impact them, but we'll see. But it's unfortunate because remember this is the same guy who just came back from he had a full season last year, I thought, right? But yeah. He had just came back from his cancer treatments and all that kind of stuff. So to kind of have like one season, then go out the following season, that sucks.
Then we also have the news that Ezekiel Elliott's suspension is going to be held off for at least the whole season. So if you have Ezekiel in your fantasy, that's a good thing. But for people who hate the Cowboys like I do, it's a bad thing.
Yeah. So the detail behind that was that there was the court judge in Texas had basically ruled that the NFL's suspension against Ezekiel Elliott was considered, he's deeming it unfair. So basically, because of his ruling, essentially, it appears that he's actually going to be able to play the whole season. So he's basically getting the Tom Brady treatment.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the experts are saying. He's getting the Tom Brady treatment. Like he's going to lose in court, but he's going to keep fighting for no reason. So
right,
he's eventually going to be suspended 6 games, according to experts.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right, so next item on the list. Obviously, most of you should know this. If you don't, then you've been living in a hole, or you've been trying to protect yourself from the hurricane for like the last 2 weeks or so. But so obviously, this week the Buccaneers Dolphins game for Week 1 was postponed to Week 11. Hey, what's up, Ayo? So basically, what that means is that the Bucs and Dolphins will not have. Well, their bye week essentially is Week 1 of the season, so they get an extra week to prepare, I guess. I thought I heard that one team was like practicing out in California or something like that. I don't know. I think they were practicing in different facilities right now. So
yeah, the Dolphins are practicing in California for the next couple weeks.
Yeah. So they still at least have a place to go to practice for their actual first game, but it won't be against one another. So
the next item on our list is OBJ's status will not be determined until game time. They're talking maybe 5 to 10 minutes before game time where his status will be revealed.
Yeah. So if you have fantasy, your power goes out too, Gabe. Damn, that sucks. So, yeah. So with OBJ, the kicker here is that if you have OBJ in fantasy, if you don't have some other player that plays a wide receiver in particular, or you have OBJ in the flex somehow, and you don't have another halfback, tight end, or wide receiver that plays at 8:30, that you can't make a split last minute decision on. It looks like I would just consider him doubtful at this point, and I would go ahead and make your switch. So I would bench OBJ if you don't have someone else like a Brandon Marshall or Des Bryant, someone from either team that plays at 8:30. I would go ahead and swap them out, swap him out with someone that plays at 1 p.m. or so, or I guess I don't know if they have any 4 o'clock games today. I'm assuming they do. So, but I would definitely pick someone from an earlier game to play if you don't have someone later tonight. And then we have the final bit of news we had was, what the hell is this? What the heck is it? Okay, don't ban that guy. I'm not sure what his thing is, but that's a little weird. But anyways, so the last one that we have was,
that was funny.
Aaron Donald, yeah, I don't know what that is about. Aaron Donald is out week 1. So Aaron Donald from the Rams, defensive lineman for the Rams, is out week 1. He was in a contract holdout, and he literally entered his contract holdout yesterday. So he was ready to suit up for game time, but because of the timing, he is not able to. So therefore, Aaron Donald is ruled out week 1. So if you have Rams defense potentially in fantasy for some odd reason, or you kind of got stuck with them, I would consider that as part of your defensive team decision when it comes to the Rams for today's game. So,
all right, guys. Now we're going to head into the part I hate. The Thursday night recap between the Chiefs and the Pats.
All right, yeah. Let me get my image edited here. There we go. All right, so let's see. So, did you want to start first with that?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like in the first three quarters we were great, but it's like once Donta Hightower went out, it's like everything just collapsed. Like offense collapsed and the defense collapsed. Yeah. It was just crazy. Like it showed how vulnerable our defense is without Hightower.
Right. I mean, the one thing that stands out to me, I guess probably first and foremost is, well, actually, I don't know. I shouldn't overshadow his accomplishment. So let me flip that around. So the first thing that should stand out, I think, to most of us, first and foremost, is the fact that how well Alex Smith actually did. So I'll put it that way. Like, that's the more positive thing to start with. But how well Alex Smith actually did. I mean, you guys know me and my critique, like extremely harsh critique of Alex Smith and him not even shouldn't even be considered a quarterback and all that kind of stuff. I mean, but for one game he shut me down. For one game, he shut me down. He had 4 touchdown passes, 2 for 70+ yards. I mean, that was pretty ridiculous. Now, one of those was a busted coverage play. The one that Tyreek was a busted coverage play where Stephon Gilmore, I think he believed he had safety help, and he believed they were playing zone, I guess. And Tyreek basically ran past, got over the top of the defense, and then basically was wide open, touchdown.
Yeah. Gilmore actually, if you look at the replay, Gilmore looked back to see if there was a safety there, and then when he didn't see the safety, he had to try to Tyreek. Because he definitely thought his safety was over top.
Right.
And Brady had a bad game. I mean, he's 40 years old, so I mean, I kind of expect that now, but I didn't.
Well, that was going to be my number one. Like at first that was going to be my number one thing. Like I mean, now I happen to have Tom Brady on one of my fantasy teams because he was literally the only, I guess, reasonable quarterback choice for a 3rd round pick that I had to make with Breeze and Aaron Rodgers off the board. But I mean, I'm kind of shocked that he had 0 touchdowns. The guy had no touchdown passes at all.
The only
so
thing
either
is he didn't throw any picks.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah. So either Chiefs defense was really, lights out, playing that well, or, the offense still has without Edelman in place, I mean, the offense may still have a little bit to get figured out, to get them synced up with Brandon Cooks and have them playing better. Madden curse happening, says Atomic.
Ugh.
Ugh. But yeah, so that was my second point, was Tom Brady. What else? What else was notable about the game? I mean, I think the two fourth down calls that New England decided to make. I mean, one of them was pretty. I can't remember where both of them were. I remember one was probably like at the Chiefs 20 or 30 yard line. I mean, clearly in field goal range for Gostkowski, and instead of taking the points, they opted to try to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and inches, and the Chiefs defense, Eric Berry actually in particular, he's the one who shut that play down when Gillislee tried to go up the gut. Eric Berry shut that play down, but I mean, you're so early on in the season right now. I mean, I guess, and you're still just playing a game. I mean, it's still just a chess match. I mean, go take your points. Now I know there could be something to be said about the fact that they, I know one of the complaints that I think someone had was, well, they were going to run to the line and try to snap it real quick and try to catch them off guard, but then the refs stopped. They called for a official timeout to do a measurement, so that may have thrown things off a little bit. But even then, it's 4th and 1. You're clearly in field goal range. Just kick the field goal and get the points.
That was me.
It's not like they were down by large amount. They weren't. I think they were winning at that point. So it's or it was tied, one of the two. It's take your points and move on.
It was me that said that, and the reason why I said that, you could tell it was a half yard short. I mean, there was no way they should have measured for that.
Yeah.
I could have seen if it was closer, but just stopping the play. The refs love to stop us going fast pace. I don't know why, but it's every time we try to go fast pace, they stop us because they want to do a measurement.
Right.
But that kind of slowed us down a little bit. What? Somebody said something in the chat?
No, I gave banned that guy finally. All right. Right. Spam the guns. All right. What else? So yeah, I mean, long term, I guess we're just gonna have to find out what this does to both teams. I mean, obviously, I would assume New England knows what they need to do. They need to find some. They had some big plays. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were some big plays offensively. They had I know Brady had one deep pass to Brandon Cooks around I think he had two guys on him at that point, and he made the catch. So he dropped it in the right spot. But so they kind of had flashes of big plays, but there wasn't really anything they were able to maintain for too long. Or if they did get down and drive down the field, and it resulted in a field goal. Or a turnover on downs. So that's good.
I was saying, if you noticed, Oklahoma did the same thing last night as the Patriots did. Went for it twice on 4th down and missed it both times.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why you would go for it on 4th down that early in the game.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, it's not like I don't think they were losing at that point. It was either tied or they were still up by 3 or whatever it was at that point. It's
the first time it was 0-0. It was tied at 0.
Okay.
It was second quarter. And the second time, I think we were up maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we missed both of them. So it's
yeah.
Yep.
So clearly they have some stuff to figure out there, and then obviously as Preston mentioned, you had Hightower go down halfway through the game, which could have caused some problems for the defense as well. Now I did hear them mention specifically I heard who was it? Collinsworth mentioned that he said, well, when I asked the Patriots about who would fill in for Hightower if something happened to him, so I think he jinxed the Patriots way at the beginning of the game. No, but he said if I asked them what would happen who would they have to replace him if he went down. He's like, I basically just got blank stares.
Yeah.
So I mean that means that they have nobody, or they don't want to say that they have anyone, or
well, it sure didn't look like we had anyone Thursday night.
Yeah. So yeah, so that could be problematic. And obviously, I mean, it didn't sound like that was more than a one game thing, right?
Yeah. I don't like Chris Collinsworth, honestly. Like whenever he's on my TV, I mute him. I just watch the game with muted. Like,
But is Hightower like? I'm assuming that was just the one. That was just for that remainder of that game, right? Like he has no like
yeah.
lingering.
They said that he could play week 2 because we have a 10-day
Okay.
break. So they said it's possible he could play week 2.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So okay. So they're not in trouble yet, but yeah.
Swelling from the MCL injury, then they'll play next week.
Okay. Can you do some Chris Collinsworth impersonations?
Oh God.
No. All right. So from a Chiefs perspective, I mean, clearly what will need to be seen is, okay, you did what you did in week 1. I don't know for certain who they play in week 2, but can you carry that forward? And I think one of the key things I know that you brought up in our offline conversations, which I think goes the same for any quarterback in the league usually, is, clearly Alex Smith knows that Mahomes was drafted first round and, I'm presumably to take his place at some point in the future. Now, whether that's now or, next year, 5 years from now, who knows? But, I think that's part of the argument for why Alex Smith played as good as he did was because of the fact that he's got someone chomping at the bit, sitting behind him, waiting to take his job. So that's something that'll be interesting to see and how that unfolds over the season. If Alex Smith can keep up the same level of play, or if that's just going to end up being a fluke. I know Cam, for example, said that he picked up Alex Smith in fantasy football. I wouldn't advise that just yet. I think you need to see like a repeatable pattern from someone before you start going after them, because then you catch them after they had a good week, and then you get them, and then they have a terrible week. You have to analyze what kind of progress they're making week to week instead of just basing whether or not you pick someone up on 1 week. Then the defense is going to be interesting to see. Okay, now you don't have Eric Berry, so who's going to step up? What kind of safety do they have as a backup who can play? Try to fill his shoes as best as he possibly can.
Yeah. And to your point back there about who Kansas City plays next week, they play Philadelphia and Kansas City.
Oh, okay. That would be interesting.
So they get Philly next week.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I think that covers that. I think we pretty much beat that dead horse. All right. All right. So now let's move on to the matchup previews.
Matchup. No.
Let me get this image here. Oops. All right. So, all right. So I don't know. Did you want to go first with one of yours, or do you want me to start, or how do you want to?
Well, you can go first because you have 2 other games. We only have 1 other game. So we go back. You go first, and I go second. You go third, I go fourth. Then we go into both our games.
Yep. All right. No problem. All right, guys. So yeah. So this segment of the podcast, if you will, this is basically just a Preston and I have both picked a handful of games that we would like to discuss, I think, in more detail, mainly because they may be intriguing to us for, I don't know, personal reasons. Maybe we're a fan of the team, whatever the case may be, or we just really think the matchup is intriguing and interesting, and there's some things that need to be discussed there. And then we'll cover the rest of the games after this particular segment, but in a more fast-paced fashion. So, week 1, first matchup for me. Wow, Atomic, that's mean, dude. Don't wish that on anyone. I mean, I understand that maybe it's in the back of your mind somewhere, but well, I mean, I know you're saying you're predicting it, but don't hope for anything like that. So first game I have some intrigue in, or personal vested interest in, would be the Steelers and the Browns. So, it's very unfortunate. So right now, I mean, the Browns, so they're going to be without Myles Garrett week 1, which is going to be extremely unfortunate because I know he was chomping at the bit to get in there and make a statement against AFC opponents, and both of our first 2 games happen to be against division rivals. So you have Browns playing the Steelers and that week 1, and then you have the Ravens week 2, and Garrett is not going to be able to play either of those games in theory. Definitely not the first one. And the second one, they said he's supposed to be out for 2 weeks, so second one may be unlikely as well. And he could be out longer, actually, because they say typically speaking, high ankle sprains are usually like 4 to 6 weeks. So you have to hope. So for me, we have to hope that he can recover on the lower end of that. So Myles Garrett is definitely out for week 1 against the Steelers. So that will be a blow to the Browns, of course, because they could use him in there. Now they do have, I think they still have. Shoot, now I'm gonna draw a blank. I forget the guy's name, but he's some dude. He showed up last year as well on defensive end. So he, I forget. Damn, I can't. His name doesn't come to mind. But I'm not. He's not going to be a Myles Garrett, but they do have some depth at these positions now. So, I feel like they should be okay there. The other reason why I feel like they're going to be okay is you have a completely different defensive system that's been installed in Cleveland. It kind of reminded me a little bit more of, the guy who we let go, the prior defensive coordinator. I forget his name. I would have remembered it like years ago, but the guy we took in from Tennessee prior to last season, who was previously with the Browns for 3 years, I think he was under Pettin as well, I think. But either way, you have Greg Williams in there now. They're running more of a attack style defense. We saw that a lot in the preseason, and most times now, again, I understand it's preseason, but there's they had a lot of success running the defense that they ran, and some of the defensive plays, some of the plays they did, like example, last game they had against the Giants, when Giants had it was like 4th down and like 7 or something like that. Greg Williams chose to blitz. He sent a blitz, but then he, made sure that someone covered the wide receiver or tight end that kind of came out of the backfield real quick, and they tried to go for a quick pass, but they forced the quarterback to make an errant throw and essentially overthrow the receiver to an extent where it was outside of his range to catch the ball. So I feel like if they can get that kind of pressure on Ben, they're going to definitely have some success there. I feel like the key to the game for me for the Browns, what's up, Sam, man? The key to me for the Browns is going to be getting the ball to Crowell. If you can let him be successful earlier on in the game, that opens up the ability to do some play action and do some things there. Open up your receivers a little bit. Let Kaiser have some lanes to throw in. Let's see. So I'm not going to necessarily predict a game score, but what are you doing, dude? So I'm not going to necessarily predict a game score, but I feel like it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a really competitive game, and like I said, I mean the keys to me is just going to be Crowell getting started early, getting Kaiser comfortable early on, making like quick plays, and clearly the guy has the ability to scramble. It's something that I saw a lot from him in the preseason. He has the ability to scramble, make plays, wait for guys to get open. He can do a lot with his legs. It's something more than I've seen from previous years Browns QBs. So and obviously with a bolstered offensive line, he'll have maybe a second or two longer than previous quarterbacks as well. So they definitely have that line bolstered for this year. They picked up an additional receiver from Seattle. They got the one guy from Pittsburgh who we traded for like, I don't know, like a 4th round pick or something like that Coates guy or whatever. So they definitely got some more speed on the field as well. The guy from Seattle looked pretty spectacular with the catches he was making in the preseason. So I'm very interesting to see how these receivers go out and perform week 1 for their new QB.
I have a little bit of intrigue. I mean, because honestly, this is the first time Joe Hayden is going to be going up against the Browns.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of washed that out of my memory.
So to see how the crowd in Cleveland reacts to him is what's on my mind. Like how they.
Oh, they're gonna boo the hell. We're gonna boo the hell out of him. There's no doubt that he gets booed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that'll be interesting too. I mean, now granted, what I would love to see is hey BJP, did you realize that he said that he had fingers broken in multiple places last season? So yeah, so no shit he can't catch. So apparently you didn't know that about your own team, but your own teammate. But yeah, it'll be interesting seeing. What I would like to see though is I want to see someone burn Joe Hayden. I want to give the Steelers a reason to regret paying this guy $7 million in guaranteed money the first year. And if he goes down this season, I mean, that's going to be even more proof, because that's been his biggest problem from years past, is his ability to stay healthy throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
So that's going to be key. And if he goes down, then basically the Steelers just gave him $7 million to sit the bench. So, yeah.
That's the way I feel about I'm trying to think. There's one quarterback that it just paid. Oh, Garoppolo. Yeah, they're talking about Garoppolo. Like because he's a free agent after the season. So like, what New England said they were franchise tag him. But if you franchise tag him, you're just going to be paying him $25 to $28 million just to sit on the bench.
Huh.
Unless Brady gets hurt, which
yeah, right.
I don't think is going to happen.
No, Atomic, I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't know if they messed up by having a rookie. I mean, the thing is that when you think about it, when you consider all the other QBs on the depth chart, ultimately it comes down to which one can do the most damage. You know, I mean, which one gives you the best opportunity to win? I mean, ultimately that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, I don't think Hugh Jackson admires the idea of just throwing a rookie QB out there. But if he thinks that he's got the traits and the abilities to help his team win over any other QB, then ultimately that's what matters.
And Atomic, I don't agree with the vet quarterback, because look at what Garoppolo did in his games last year. Like, nobody had any film on him or anything, and look how good he did in his first 2 games before he got injured.
Right, and I mean, they didn't trade Brock Osweiler, but I mean, they traded for Brock Osweiler in the offseason, because again, that was just a gamble. I mean, really, actually, and their strategy, which I don't think anyone can disagree with at this point, because it's clear what they're trying to do is they're doing whatever it takes to acquire as many draft picks as possible. Their mentality is truly build through the draft, which is a very tried and true strategy. So I mean, it works. It can work in the NFL. It has worked in the NFL. So they're basically actually following a legitimate strategy, and then saying, well, if there's any place where we need depth, or we feel like we need veteran leadership, or we just don't have the right leadership or skill in that particular position, then let's go out and look for some guy who's been there, done that. Like, let's go get a Kenny Britt, you know, or some guy like that, someone who's been there, done that, who I can throw in this position and I know they can do what they need to do. You know, and I can, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I think Denver was thinking the same thing, because if you noticed, like, once Denver traded him and y'all released him, that meant Denver could pay him less money to re-sign him.
Right.
So Denver was playing that game too. They're like, okay, we're just going to wait for Cleveland to release him, then we'll sign him back for less money.
Yeah, well, he was a bum, dude. He missed out. Because remember, John Elway was going to give that dude like $30 million, some crazy shit like that, and for him to stay, and he was salty about the whole Peyton Manning situation that he just left, and then I mean basically he ruined his own career. So I mean, he'll be lucky if he gets to start again in Denver. Maybe he does, but if he doesn't, then basically just you ruined your career because you wanted to be salty over something. Some other guy who's considered would be considered a legend in the NFL. So I mean, sorry you got benched for a legend. I mean, I wouldn't be too sad about that.
I mean, that's like when Drew Bledsoe got benched for Tom Brady. I mean,
Right. Right, yeah, Bledsoe, right.
Bledsoe was hurt, man. Like he was sad that happened, but then he realized how good Brady was.
No, I don't. Atomic. I don't think. No, I don't think anyone's hoping. See, here's the thing. For me, like, I never think about it that way. I don't think about like, oh, I hope this player is like this other player. No, I'm hoping that this player is different than other players. Like, I want this guy. I just want this guy to be successful. I think that's what they want to see happen. Or can you make more positive plays than you can make negative plays? I mean, that's essentially what Hugh Jackson said. I want to see this guy go out there and do more good than bad. Ultimately, that's what matters. So if you make one extra play that was better than the number of bad plays that you made, that's a good start. So, I mean, I don't think they're expecting Kaiser to go out there and be some, like, extremely phenomenal player, not in his first season, because I don't think there's really any QB who's like that. And you get an occasional flash, okay, you get a Prescott era, but again, that's 1 year, that's one season, his freshman season. We have to see what happens this year. So you can't really compare Kaiser to Prescott at this point. You can't really, and I don't like to do that anyways because it's not fair. It just doesn't make any sense.
Hey, Baker, I'll be right back.
Okay. So yeah, so that's yeah. But yeah, all right. So I'll move on to something else. You're glad Gabe is not in the closet? Yeah, thank goodness. Everybody has counted the Broncos out already. They haven't seen us play a regular season game yet. I mean, well, here's the thing, Bailey. I'll tell you what. I watched the Broncos first game last year, and after that first game, I put on Facebook, I said, they won this game, but the Broncos are in trouble. And what happened last year? I knew, like, based on the way that team played last year in their first game, I knew that season was not going to end well for them. And sure enough, it didn't. So if I see their first game today, then I can probably make a pretty good guess on how well their season might go. All right. Did you want to go ahead with one of yours?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah. All right. So one of the games that intrigues me this week is Arizona at Detroit. I think there's going to be big fantasy points scored in this game. By David Johnson, Matthew Stafford, Carson Palmer. I think it's going to be a high-scoring fantasy game. The defenses will not do very well, I don't think. But I'm big on this one because of fantasy, and also, like, it's just the matchup intrigues me. Like, you got it's more of the Lions offense versus the Cardinals offense. I mean, the Cardinals defense is good. It's just, I don't know if they can keep up with Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah, Arizona's supposed to be one of the better defenses in the league this year.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very high scoring. That's why it's intriguing me. Like, I like high scoring games.
And then you have Johnson, who was effectively the number one overall fantasy pick, probably in every single draft this year, depending upon,
I took him first overall in our draft, so.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Milk Drinker? What's up, Gamer? What's up, Matai? How's it going, dude? Most teams are at a breaking point when they start a rookie QB, just like the Cowboys last year, so maybe Kaiser will be good. Well, I don't want to keep going back to it, but I will just say this, that's one of the things. Like, I know one of the analysts from the NFL Network had picked the Browns to win over the Steelers today because they said basically there's so many new faces there that could be enough to make a difference. Like, you have a different defensive coordinator, a different defense, so it's not the same defense you've been playing every year. You've got different guys on defense, you've got different guys on offense, different playmakers kind of all over the field. So, I mean, that could be enough to make a difference. And on top of that, remember, little Benny has been, he's been pondering his retirement. So you got to keep that in the back of your head. That this is a guy who, you have to wonder, and they said he was talking about this in training camp as well. You have to wonder where the state of his head is really at. Is he really thinking about playing football, or is he thinking about retirement? If he's thinking about retirement, the season's not going to go well for the Steelers. If he's thinking about playing football and trying to win one more, have one last hurrah and try to make it to the promised land one more time, then, maybe they have a good season. But if his head's not in it, they're done. But as far as Arizona, Detroit, so you have you have Johnson. Obviously, you still have Matt Stafford playing. But I mean, did Detroit do anything in the offseason to bolster their offense at all? I mean, they still have Golden Tate, but like, who else does Matt Stafford even have?
They picked up Hassan Reddick in the draft.
What position is he though? I don't know for.
Linebacker.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about offensive wise? I don't think they did anything offensive wise. I think most of that stuff was defense.
I'm surprised they didn't take a wide receiver number 1. Oh wait, Mariucci's not there anymore. Oh God.
Yeah.
I know, gamer. I know. What are notable points? I mean, you have Palmer, obviously, for Arizona. You got Matthew for Arizona from a defensive standpoint. You still got Patrick Pete on Arizona. I don't know. I don't feel like I heard too much about these two teams in the offseason to really know like how they've changed or gotten any better or potentially gotten worse. I mean, obviously, Arizona's an aging team minus their halfback. They're getting kind of old. Detroit seems like they're getting kind of old for some reason with Matt Stafford. I mean,
the biggest thing for me in this game is fantasy points. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of fantasy points scored.
Yeah.
By David Johnson. I think Arizona's defense might score quite a few points too, with Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson in the defensive positions for Arizona. Like, we might see a couple picks and stuff. So. I mean, I wish it was on TV, but down here we get Philly and Washington. So. But yeah.
Thanks, Bailey. Thanks for the encouragement. Like, really.
So, your next game.
All right. So the next game I had highlighted, I know people might laugh at this, but I'll explain why I picked it. So the next game I have highlighted is Falcons at Bears. Go ahead and laugh now, get it out. But the reason why I like this game is because this, in theory, should be a complete like disaster decimation of the Chicago Bears by the Atlanta Falcons. If there's Bailey, yeah, if the Falcons don't shut out the Bears, I'd be surprised. I mean, I'm sorry if you're a Bears fan, but you have to understand where I'm coming from. First off, you've got Mike Glennon at QB, who essentially wasn't even really good enough to be a starter in Tampa Bay. He wasn't necessarily good enough to even be a backup there because obviously they cut bait with him, a little while ago. So he's been kind of around the block. So you got this guy as your starter that you paid all this money to. I mean, they literally have Chicago has like no offensive weapons. I mean, they may have a halfback, but I mean, can you name any one Chicago wide receiver off the top of your head? I certainly can't. I mean, they had Alshon Jeffrey in the past and Brandon Marshall and freaking Matt Forte, a halfback, and all you needed was a better quarterback other than Jay Cutler, and you probably would have actually had a playoff team.
Yeah. The only wide receiver I can think of is Kevin White. That's the only wide receiver in Chicago I can think of.
Oh, see, I don't even know who that is. I just know like the big names that they used to have before, and it's like, and they let all their talent go, and then that's right, they even had Martellus Bennett. So I mean, it's like these guys had a good offensive team, and they decimated that team. I mean, their defense, remember Urlacher's been gone for years, but it's like I can't even name anyone in their defense anymore. I mean, it's just like they have. Yeah, I know. I mean, they have like no one. So I mean, on Falcons, I mean, you look at the offense. I mean, shit. When you're talking about, and again, we saw it last year, but I think we'll see it again this year, starting with Game 1. Is you have freaking Freeman, Tevin Coleman. You have freaking, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Sanu. You still got former Brown Alex Mack at center. They got Taylor Gabriel on offense. I mean, they've got so much speed on offense that there's no way that they don't just like go down the field in like 2 or 3 plays like every single possession. They should be. This game should be easily in their hands, and they should easily be able to take care of Chicago at Chicago, which that's not going to be a pretty sight for Chicago fans. I feel bad.
Yeah, most experts have Atlanta winning this game by 20 plus.
I'm sure they do. Falcons are going to be Falcons. It'll be interesting to see. So the Falcons have one of the tougher schedules this season. So it will be interesting to see that if they can do what they did last year, this year with a tougher schedule. I feel like they can go. I feel like they can go back to the Super Bowl. I feel like they could make a run again this year because essentially they have effectively the same team. The only thing that they have to get, the only hurdle they have to get through this year is they have to get the offensive coordinator. So they have a new offensive coordinator this year with Shanahan leaving to go to coach 49ers, which I feel is like wow. If you want to win a ring, that's not the move you make. But he left to go coach in San Francisco. So you have a new college guy who came in to take control of Atlanta's offense. So it'll be intriguing to see how well oiled that offense comes out in this game. I think this will be a huge tell of how that's going to work.
I think it depends on what place that they have. I mean, because it's a college guy coming in. So, I mean,
yeah.
Most college teams, they run either the West Coast or a balanced offense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either air raid or it's going to be a balance.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. I mean, I expect big numbers from Matt Ryan and that whole team today. So.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm talking about big fantasy numbers, at least 30 points.
And then I can't remember. I thought I heard something or I read something. I thought Falcons did something to kind of bolster their defense a little bit more off season as well. So I mean, I feel like defensively they might be the team to beat. I mean, I don't know if they're necessarily considered a top ranked defense this year, but I think that's something that we'll just have to wait. That we'll just have to wait and see how things shape up.
Yeah.
All right, it's all you again, man.
Okay. Well, the next game that intrigues me, it's America's Game of the Week on Fox. It is Seattle at Green Bay. There are a lot of storylines in this game. You have Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson. You have the Seattle defense. I guess they could still be called the Legion of Boom. I really don't know. I mean, would you still call them the Legion of Boom?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they're still trying to call themselves that, but I mean, it's not the same. It's not the same defense.
Nah. I mean, you have the Seattle defense versus Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to pick the Seattle defense apart. I mean, but you got to think Russell's also going into Green Bay for revenge of what happened last season. So,
yeah. I mean, the one thing that stands out to me on it though would be the fact that, from Green Bay standpoint, I mean, you've got freaking Ty Montgomery as your featured back this season, whereas last season he was kind of like wide receiver / running back.
yeah.
Obviously because you had Eddie Lacy there at the time, but that's going to be weird to me to see like what this guy can do because he's kind of little for a running back. So I mean, he's more of a wide receiver body running the ball. 100.
His knees might not last that long. Like,
yeah. So I mean that to me is going to be a big thing is to see how well they can actually run the ball. Maybe they don't run it a lot. Maybe they do a lot more like screens and stuff like that. Like maybe they take more of a Patriot style mentality. And I say that like or maybe it's not even just Patriot style, but I mean, there's obviously more ways to get the ball downfield than just run it. You can do screen passes and stuff like that to find ways to advance the ball without necessarily running it. You can do more pitches and stuff like that, things to bounce it outside, ways to move the ball where you're not. I don't think you can expect the guy go in there and be the Eddie Lacy ground and pound, kind of halfback. There's just no way this dude would get destroyed.
Yeah. And the reason why I say Russell Wilson intrigues me because the last time he played them last year, he was injured and he threw 5 interceptions. So I think he's coming out looking for revenge. Like, okay, these people thought I was okay and I was throwing 5 picks, but
yeah, he was running all over the field too, man. That dude was running for his life, and that's the thing is that injured or not, the way I look at it is how better is that offensive line because it doesn't seem like they really did a whole lot. To make that offensive line better. So is he going to be running for his life or is he actually going to be able to sit back and make passes?
Yeah. Or is he going to have to scramble a bunch?
Right.
And also, I think Green Bay getting Martellus Bennett is really going to help them, like, as far as tight end position goes.
Right.
Of course, he came from New England, so it sucks to lose him, but
right.
Anyways, so what's next?
So then I thought, wasn't there something? I thought you said there was something that you said Eddie Lacy was gonna do.
What you said, Becker?
I thought there was something you said Eddie Lacy was gonna do in the game.
Yeah, Eddie Lacy said he's gonna do the Lambo leap.
If he scores.
Yeah, if he scores.
So Packers fans, make sure that you douse this guy with beer or cheese or whatever you douse him with.
Yep.
get some of that taco cheese and nacho cheese, right?
Nacho cheese all over his jersey and stuff.
But yeah, so Eddie Lacy, obviously that's going to be, I think, one of the big stories of the game is how well can Eddie Lacy do? Now that he's reverse sides, he's obviously playing for Seattle at this point. He's going to be, in theory, either featured back over Thomas Rawls, or maybe they come out with more of a 1-2 punch type deal with Rawls and Lacy because they're both big dudes, and Rawls is no joke. He could be a stud, but again, with that offensive line, man, that's going to be key, dude. Neither of these guys are Marshawn Lynch, so the offensive line is going to be the key to Seattle's offensive season. You mentioned Martellus Bennett earlier.
Yeah.
Bears got a real shot if they bring back Cutler. Wow, Derek. Lies. Remember, Derek, Cutler's playing for Miami right now, so with Adam Gase. So remember, Gase used to coach Cutler before, so that's a reunion there. But anyways, you mentioned Martellus Bennett, so yeah, that could be interesting too to see how acclimated Aaron Rodgers gets with Martellus Bennett right away. From things I've read, it sounds like people are expecting that maybe it's going to be a few weeks into the season before they're fully acclimated with one another, and Rodgers is passing more to him as a check down. So it'll be interesting to see how much they get him involved week 1.
Yeah.
All right. So we're on to the next ones then?
Yep. Hold on 1 second. I got to clean my phone off. I just got orange juice on it by accident.
Oh, you want to see how many donuts Derek Carr can eat in 5 minutes? 2 dozen, probably. What the hell, Derek? What is your problem? Why are you all of a sudden against Derek Carr? Derek? Come on, dude.
And actually, that's when the game's recovering.
Oh, gosh. All right, so one of the games, so there's a few games that Preston and I wanted to discuss together, even though it seems like we've basically been doing that kind of already. So this won't be any different than the prior games we just discussed. But so one of the games we wanted to talk about was the Eagles and Redskins matchup.
Yeah. The defense, I mean, it all depends on the defenses in this game, I think. Like, which Redskin defense shows up. Like,
yeah, you're gonna have what was that dude's name? Norman. You'd have Norman blanketing Alshon Jeffrey all day.
Yeah.
So then the question's going to be, so Philadelphia traded away Jordan Matthews to Buffalo. I don't remember what they got in return, but I don't think they got a receiver back. So the question is, who else does Philadelphia have that will be able to step up and make plays if Alshon Jeffrey is being taken out of the mix? I mean, they've got Zach Ertz and Brent Selleck, which are tight ends, but what other receivers are going to make a statement in that game and give Carson Wentz the chance to make some plays?
Yeah, and the whole defense is basically overhauled for the Redskins. They have a new coordinator and everything.
And remember, if we remember the Madden games, guys, the Redskins in theory was like the top team, on paper this season. I have to check again. I'll have to check to see what they put in actual Madden 18 because I don't remember, but that was kind of like the top team to beat going into this season. So it seems like they have all the pieces in place to make a run. You've got but then you have Kirk Cousins. To me that I still feel like you have to worry about that guy. Who's talking with me? It's Preston, BJP. I feel like you have to worry about Kirk Cousins because, again, I've said it in the past. I've seen him in past games. I think it's been multiple seasons where I've seen it. I know for sure last season where in game time situations where he needs to be the guy to help lead the team and make the right decision, like spike the ball, take a knee, throw the ball away, call a timeout. He has not been the guy to do those things. He's blundered away opportunities to win games or do the right thing because he's made bad decisions. And so he's been franchised, twice so far by Washington. And I think they understand that too. I think that's kind of what's going on in their head and why they keep franchising him is because they're like, well, okay, he may have these good plays, but then what about all these bad ones? Like, okay, like you can't have an NFL QB making these mistakes. If you're the guy, then you have to look like the guy. So I feel like that's kind of the internal, beef that Washington has to try to figure out like which Kirk Cousins is gonna come out this year and how is he gonna develop this year.
Derek's waving at me. I said it's Juan Cena. But yeah, but there's a couple other things in this game that I'm looking at. Like, it's based around the Redskins' defense, like with the whole unit, like because they struggled against the run, on third down, like all last season. That was the big problem was third down in the run.
Right, and remember, I almost forgot. Like, okay, and you have the Eagles have LeGarrette Blount this year. So you have a good combination. They're going to have a good combination of strength and speed because you have to forget the guy who basically is almost effectively ageless at this point in the NFL is you have freaking Darren Sproles still out there playing for the Eagles. So you have LeGarrette Blount who can be the ground and pound guy, and you can have Darren Sproles sitting out there. So you never know. I mean, maybe to counter the Redskins defense, you could potentially see the Eagles going with two back sets because you got two guys out there that can make plays. You can do a short pass to freaking Sproles and have him be the speedster, or you can draw it to freaking Blount and have him run it up the gut and have him try to make a play.
Yeah,
I feel like they have a lot of options.
Or they could go outside to Alshon Jeffrey or Torrey Smith. I mean.
Yeah.
The Redskins.
Oh, that's right. They have Torrey Smith too. That's right. So they did get a speedster, but the way I'm looking at it is I'm kind of pretend like Alshon Jeffrey's not even playing because if he gets blanketed by Josh Norman and he's effectively eliminated from the game, then they're going to have to look to who else do I have to make plays in this game. So that's kind of my mentality is I'm pretending like Alshon Jeffrey's not even there, and who else can make plays.
And also, the Redskins defense will feature 7 new starters. Like,
damn, that is a lot. Oh, what's up, Jay Cutler, the best commentator? What if Brady got traded? That's not gonna happen, Atomic. That makes no sense.
What do you think about how do you think Terrell Pryor is going to do in the Washington scheme of things?
Oh, that's right, Terrell Pryor. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. The big question is The big question for me is going to be whether or not he can actually catch the ball, because that was his biggest problem last year was with the Browns was his ability in crunch time to make big plays. Like he made big plays when like I wouldn't say when it didn't matter, but like on first and second down, those are always good times to make big plays. But when it's third and short, and you need to run a slant route, and you need to actually hang on to the ball, those are the plays where he would always end up. He would have the ball, but then it would always end up being defensed. So it's going to come down to whether or not he's improved his game at all as a wide receiver, and have changed anything. If he hasn't changed anything, and he continues to be who he was last year, then I feel like it's going to be a dismal. I wouldn't say he's not going to have a bad season, but his season could be better. It's not going to be as good as it could be if he ends up not converting on third downs or those third and shorts or any type of short yardage plays where they expect him to be a playmaker.
Yeah. Let's see what else we're looking at here.
Marcus, you are so late, dude. We've already covered that.
What game is Marcus wondering about?
No, he was saying Dolphins and Bucks is postponed to week 11. Like that was like the first, practically one of the first things we opened up with, Marcus.
Yeah. And another one is Everett at safety, like because you heard about what's going on with Cravens or whatever his name is. He retired, then he unretired, so it's like. Yeah,
who was that?
The Redskins safety, Sua Cravens. He was supposed to start a strong safety, but he announced last week that he was retiring. Then this week he said he's going to come back. So.
Oh my God.
They have the Scherzer Everett, who's an undrafted cornerback out of Texas A&M, taking his spot. So. What's going on,
Derek? What are you doing? What are you doing to Jay? He said he's Michael's cousin, Melvin.
What? Let me look in chat and see how crazy people are doing.
BJP, but see, I don't know, dude, because then it doesn't become a home game. Like the only type of neutral game you should have technically is the ones in London, and even then, I still despise those games because they count them as home games for the team that's supposed to be effectively the home team. I think that's BS.
I disagree with you on the Miami Tampa Bay game. There is plenty of places they could have played that game. They could have played it in Atlanta. They could have played.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that like it's not the same as a home game though. At that point, like you kind of, it's basically the equivalent of playing in London, except for you just don't have to travel that far.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like that's the way I look at it. I just don't like it for that reason because it's not your stadium, it's not your hotels. You know, it's everything's different about where you're playing the game. So it's like. I like the fact that they postponed it. That way they could still play in their own stadium.
But would you take a week one bye, or would you rather play at a neutral site? I wouldn't want that week one bye because then you have to play 16 straight weeks. And plus, Miami has to go to London this season.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's gonna be tough. It's gonna be brutal for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like I just the week one bye, I wouldn't want either, to be honest. But you know, I mean, what are you gonna do? Obviously, it's not a decision. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I would still rather have the home field advantage than, you know, play somewhere mysterious that's not exactly home.
Derek, you're crazy, man.
Trade you eat donuts? We trade Derek for a couple boxes of donuts or something?
Yeah. Uh-oh, look who's here. Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. Just in time, right?
I'm surprised that him and Derek aren't going to Charles Stokes yet since they played today.
Right. Yeah, so that was so did you have anything else you wanted to discuss with the whole Eagles Redskins?
Not really. I mean, the Eagles offense looks pretty good. It's just like I said with the Washington defense, having 7 new starters, I mean, it's going to be rough for them in the first game.
I feel like Philadelphia is going to need I feel like they're going to need more they're going to need more offensive firepower eventually. I mean, I feel like they don't have I feel like they don't have enough
Jay Cutler,
weapons.
If it's McDonald's French fries, you got a deal.
All right, so let's see. So they have who else do they have? Well, they have Aguilar. They do have Nelson Aguilar, right? And he was their first round pick, I thought. Like, Well, he's been in the league for 3 years, so I mean, he's been around for a little while. So they do have Nelson Aguilar, and they have Torrey Smith. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see if maybe Aguilar stands out this year or something because I don't really feel like I've heard his name a lot since came into the league. So I mean,
what about the racist dude? Where's he at now?
who?
That white racist dude that they had. The wide receiver. Remember he went to the concert and he was saying F black people. And all that
Oh,
stuff?
I don't know. I think they got rid. I think they cut him.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I mean, because all these guys are. Oh wait, there's Mac Hollins. But he's a rookie, so that couldn't have been him.
It was
Yeah, all the receivers they have all black receivers except for one dude who looks white. So I mean, I don't think they have that guy on their team anymore. Because I remember there was a couple of people that they cut from their team last year. I thought was one of their wide receivers. I remember it was a black dude. I can't remember his name, but they cut him because
it was Riley Cooper.
Riley Cooper. Really? Wow, he did that. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
He was actually a good receiver. Well, yeah, that definitely hurt them. And they traded away Jordan Matthews, obviously, and then they had there was some other black dude they had as receiver. Again, I apologize. I just can't remember his name. I just remember I swear he was black, but they cut him too, I could have swore, because of some other, I thought he was going to be like a stud or something, but he had, I don't know if he had drugs or something like that or some kind of weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like they're going to need to get some more depth and some better receivers at some point because
it was in July
that's going to be tough.
2013. He said, I would jump that fence and fight every black person here, basically.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah, and he hasn't played since. So he was released in 2016.
All right, so next game we wanted to talk about was the Raiders and Titans.
Hold on.
So we've had this matchup on stream before in the past, thanks to our local Marcus Mariota and our local Derek Carr, or formerly Derek Carr, however you want to look at it, the donut eater, before Derek broke his leg.
Yeah. This is gonna be very fun. This is gonna be one of the fun games of the weekend. Mariota versus the Raiders defense.
Right, yeah, the Raiders defense should be interesting. You got Marshawn Lynch out there for the first time as an Oakland Raider, so it'll be interesting to see how the Raiders use Marshawn Lynch. If they're gonna just line him up as a back, if they're gonna be, I kind of feel like with their offense, most likely Marshawn Lynch is gonna be getting probably more draw plays, and he's gonna be just straight single back, up the gut type plays. Because they have more of a pass oriented offense. Derek Carr doesn't go to cardiac arrest when he plays. What the hell, Derek? You're so random, dude.
Yo, Derek. Actually, Marcus, he's one of my picks. Actually, to possibly win MVP this year. Is Mariota.
Derek Carr uses Lynch for the Skittles. Oh god. Taste the rainbow, Derek Carr.
See, who is
yeah, I agree, Bailey. I agree. It's still up. I agree. That's why, even in fantasy, for Marshawn Lynch, I
have him.
I try to stay away from him because you don't know. You need to see him play a couple of games or maybe even the whole season just to know whether or not he's going to be around next year. And if he's even, draft worthy or fantasy worthy.
Yeah, it's tough with him. I mean, because have they even said what his role's going to be yet? Is he going to be the starter or?
Oh, I can't imagine he's not. I'll check right now. I can't imagine him not being the starter though.
They don't even have a role for him yet.
Yeah, he's a starter. Yeah, he's a starter. And then they have Jalen Richard behind him and DeAndre Washington as their third halfback. But I wholly expect them to do more. I wholly expect Derek Carr to be more in the gun and Marshawn Lynch getting more draw plays than he would Like in Seattle, I think they did more like single back with him and ground and pound. But I feel like in Oakland's offense, it's going to be different because they have the opportunity to have such a great passing attack. I feel like he's going to be lined up next to Derek Carr a lot more often than not.
Hold on, I'm trying to see something. Their deep. See, Tennessee's defense. That's the only. I mean, they were ranked 20th in total defense last year, so it's like, what did you do in the offseason to improve that? Like,
right.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, so you have that for the Oakland, and then from a Tennessee perspective, offensively,
they got a good offense. Like,
you have DeMarco Murray in his second year, there, right, in Tennessee. So, and last year I thought he came close or had 1,000 yards last year, and that was his first year when it seemed like everyone had counted his career over after his 1 year wonder in Dallas. So he did revive himself last year, and so I know a lot of people were looking forward to see him again this year and see how they improve upon what they did last year.
Yeah. Well, Logan Ryan is one of the starting cornerbacks now for Tennessee, so, and he's coming from New England, so. And Parrish Cox is gone, so I mean they don't have really a good second cornerback, so.
Let's see. Let me take a look because I'm not as familiar with their team. So let's see. Offensively, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You got Matt Castle as their backup quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, they ended up getting Ryan. Oh, they got Rashard Matthews. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm not very familiar with any of these wide receivers they have. I don't know who any of these guys are.
Nah.
Rashard Matthews, Corey Davis. Oh, that's right. They got Eric Decker. They did get Eric Decker in the offseason, so that might come to fruition for them at some point. That might be beneficial. He's kind of like, though, I feel like he's kind of like towards the end of his career, or at least maybe it just seems that way.
All right.
So, and last year, obviously, Derek Decker played with the Jets, and he had 194 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'm certain he's looking to improve upon that because that was a very terrible year, I would think, in his eyes. Should have stayed with Denver, buddy. Should have stayed with Denver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. They don't really have much to speak for on offense except for Mariota and Murray. I mean, and Delaney Walker, Decker. Again, that's TBD. We got to see what he can actually do. Defensively, let's see, what is that? Hey, why don't they show defense on here? What's going on?
Super Mario.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't even really know who most of these people are. You got Orakpo at right outside linebacker. Jarrell Casey. Jarrell Casey's not bad. Right defensive end. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see how these guys go. It looks like they one of their LaShawn Sims, their starting cornerback, is out.
What the heck, man? Marcus and Derek are going crazy in chat.
Of course. Eric. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what comes of this game. I mean, I feel like it's just a good battle to see. One, because it's relevant to chat, actually. So I know we have some Titans fans in here. I know we have some Raiders fans in here. So DeMarco Murray had 1,200 yards. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how well if he can improve upon that this year, or if he's going to stay the same or potentially regress, which you would hope that. If you're him or the Titans, that he doesn't regress this season and that they actually move forward and maybe with more weapons for Mariota to throw to, he can, they can stretch the field a little bit more and not just have people hunker down and wait for him to run the ball. Obviously Mariota can run the ball himself, whenever he wants. He's, one of the fastest QBs in the league, so he's got the speed to do it.
I have a prediction for this game.
Yeah.
Tennessee 27, and Oakland 24.
Okay.
What do you think, Baker? Who do you think is going to win this one? I mean, this is kind of intriguing to me. Like,
I don't know. You know, I feel like the Raiders have what it takes to pull it off. I feel like they do. I mean, I feel like they've got the most they've got the more fully rounded team. I mean, you know, I would want the Titans to prove me wrong, because I feel like the Raiders got a more well-rounded team compared to Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee, don't get me wrong. I mean, Tennessee has good players here and there, but I feel like Raiders have more impact players. You know, offensively, they've got freaking Lynch, Carr, Amari Cooper, freaking Crabtree. I mean, they've got more keys on their offense than the Titans do.
wow, Derek, really?
Guys, come on. No, you should not be making. Do not make any hurricane-related jokes, guys. Because first off, that is still ongoing, and that's not over yet. So it's too soon. How about that? Too soon. Save those for later when it can be considered funny. What do I prefer, high-scoring games or low-scoring games? I mean, BJP, I'm okay with NFL high-scoring games because usually they're like, you know, I think you mentioned earlier like 35-31 or something like that where it's close and they're high-scoring. But I absolutely despise college high-scoring games where you have like 73-0 or, you know, 73-63 or some shit like that where it's just like astronomical. Like that, to me, I can't stand that because that means that your defenses didn't come to play and your defenses just suck.
Yeah.
I hate those kind of games. I mean, they're exciting, don't get me wrong, but I just don't like those kind of games. I like more, as long as the game is close, to me, that's what matters the most. And that just
I like
rhymes.
high-scoring games.
You like high-scoring games?
Yeah. Like, did you
I
see
just don't like.
that?
I especially don't like complete shutouts. Like when it's like 73-3 or 73-0 or, you know, some weird shit like that. Like that's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Scoring is more fun. Come on, Char. Really? Too soon, man.
All right. Anything else about the Raiders and the Titans?
I just hope Derek and Marcus have good games. I mean, I want to see a good game because I'm gonna be on Red Zone all day. I'm just gonna be watching Red Zone all day. So
Yeah.
I just want to see.
All right. So the next final one that we have for the more in-depth review, although we might be able to go a little bit more in-depth for the next ones. We've got about 40 minutes left till kickoff for the first games. So the last one we have right now for the more in-depth review or preview was the Giants and the Cowboys. So as we mentioned earlier, so Zeke is going to be cleared to play. It looks like the whole season, thanks to the judge in Texas who ruled in favor of Zeke, essentially postponing the suspension for the current season. But that's not going to say that doesn't mean that he won't ever be suspended. That could be next season, you know, essentially the Brady effect. So there's a chance that he still will be suspended, just not this season. So what's different about these teams? Oh, so one, as we mentioned earlier in the NFL news segment at the beginning of the broadcast, OBJ is going to be a game time decision. So again, if you have OBJ as a fantasy starter on your fantasy football team, make sure make sure that if you don't have someone else who also plays at 8:30, make sure you start someone else. I would they're still listing him as questionable at this point, but I would consider him out if you are an owner of him in fantasy football. If you have someone else who plays at 8:30, you know he's going to be a game time decision. So after 8:30, you're pretty much screwed if you don't have any other wide receivers that play Sunday or Monday. So just keep that in mind. So that's one thing that's different this year different at least for this week. So if he's not ready to go, then who do you have left? Obviously, the Giants picked up Brandon Marshall in the offseason, so they were expecting a 1-2 punch with Odell or Brandon Marshall. They both can make spectacular plays. Marshall, I feel, is like a bigger, bulkier wide receiver compared to OBJ, of course. So there's some plays that he can make that OBJ necessarily can't.
Yeah, I dropped him yesterday, Char.
Did you?
No, I was talking about
Oh, you're talking. Okay, yeah.
Janikowski's on the IR.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Someone mentioned that. So yeah, so that's the difference for the Giants. I mean, I don't feel like other than that offensively, I don't know that they really made that many other changes to their team that really stand out. I mean, I think they tried to do some stuff with their offensive line. But the main okay, their main point of emphasis for me was like on the offensive side of the ball, like what would they do to help? Because to me, that was one problem they had last year was offensively. Eli had to hold the ball for way too long. He had a lot. He throws a lot of interceptions when he gets into holding the ball too long. So you've got Perkins back as your main back, and Vereen to back him up. I still can't believe they have Geno Smith as a backup to Eli Manning. That's ridiculous. Who's their third QB? D Webb? Who the hell is that? Davis Webb. So apparently he's worse than Geno Smith, which is hard to believe that anyone could be worse than Geno Smith.
I wouldn't say that, Baker.
Oh God. Then you've got this. Who? Blake Bortles. Yeah, but at least he's starting though. For now, at least, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they try to bolster their offense a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see like what they can do to protect Eli Manning. That's going to be the key to their games this year. Now again, but traditionally against Dallas, last year Dallas didn't win any of their games against the Giants.
Yeah.
So
this game is always fun to me. Like
it is. It always is. It always can be a back and forth fun game.
Like I'm not a fan of the NFC East, but when these two teams play, I always watch. Like because it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, they both could be having a horrible season, but they will put on one hell of a game when they play.
Right. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to watch for that reason too. And then what did Dallas do? So Dallas, obviously this is the big questions this year is how well is Zeke going to do in year two, and Dak, both in known for the potential sophomore slump. So that's something that they're faced with this year. So now that the league actually has video and footage on these guys playing for one season, how well are they going to be able to execute this year, effectively going in with the same playbook, and all that stuff. So then there's not really much changes offensively or defensively for them. They got rid of Morris Claiborne, right? I can't remember if he was gone last season too, but I just remember him being gone.
Poor Luke. About 1 o'clock, Luke.
So you got Zeke starting, you got Prescott starting as usual, and then you've got obviously you've got Dez that the Giants have to watch out for. I feel like in the games that the Giants play against the Cowboys, I don't feel like Dez Bryant really does a whole lot. Usually it seems like it seems like Cole Beasley ends up getting more involved in those games because Dez is essentially blanketed. So I would expect Cole Beasley to, his name to be called several times during the game for making some catches. They'll have to rely on Terrence Williams as well.
Right.
But I don't think Dez is going to be – I don't think he's going to be making a whole heck of a lot of catches in this game. It'll be more like, Beasley and Witten will probably have to be involved quite a bit, and then hopefully they can pound the ball with Zeke and McFadden.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be any big fantasy points in this game, or do you see anybody score big?
I don't know. I don't feel like it is because it seems like usually their games. I mean, maybe one team may score a little bit more, but I just don't think it's necessarily going to be like a huge back and forth, like high scoring blowout game. Where they're scoring like 30 points each or anything like that. I think usually it'll be like a 31-17 or 28-30, type of game or something like that. I mean, not anything like astronomical, but.
Derek said somebody sounds creepy. It's either me or you.
He sounds creepy. Who sounds creepy, Derek? What is this YouTuber about? What the hell are you talking about, Derek? What's up, Landon? How's it going, dude?
Stupid.
What's up, Minnesota Vikings? Sorry, I didn't see you guys pop in. What's up, Gamer? Saw you, Charmander.
And in this game, I'm going to go with the Giants. I think they'll pull it out 24-20.
Okay. Derek, you know me. Come on, dude. You were my mod before. Stop playing around. All right, Mr. Tennessee, or Mr. Parma Heights or Parma, Ohio. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the Giants have what it takes to pull it out, but the key to the big
key is whether OBJ plays.
Yeah, it's going to be whether or not OBJ is in the game or not. I mean, that may not be enough to throw off the whole game, but it certainly will make a difference.
Yeah.
As to how difficult the Giants' game will be for them without him.
Okay. And now it's time for our favorite part, the lightning round.
Yes, sir.
Did you want to cover any of these games fully? Let's go through them.
Hang on, let me let me get our image up here real quick. There we go. All right, guys. So yeah, so now we're on to the lightning round. So again, the lightning round essentially is just of the remaining games that have left to be played. We're gonna kind of quickly go through each one of these games, not spend too much time talking about the details, but maybe just kind of brushing over our expectations of each of the teams, and then finish off the broadcast after that. You know, maybe we can finish with some questions if we have some time left. If anyone has any particular questions about any particular game or players or news, whatever.
Or fantasy news that you need or anything like that.
Yeah.
All right, first up is the Jaguars and Texans. I see the Texans are at home as right after Hurricane Harvey. I think they're going to win this game big. I mean, I think it's going to be a blowout. I'm thinking like 38-10, something like that. It's going to be bad.
You think the Jaguars are going to blow out the Texans?
No, I think the Texans are going to blow out the Jaguars.
Oh, you think Texans? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be tough. If they do it, it's going to have to primarily be their defense. Yeah. That's my opinion, because I just don't understand. I don't know, aside from Lamar Miller, I don't know how we expect DeAndre Hopkins to get balls thrown to him if their quarterback is freaking, this bum that they have as a quarterback. I mean, sorry to put it that way. I just don't. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't call him a bum. I just don't know his name. Isn't it Chase something or another?
Tom Savage.
Tom Savage. Okay.
Tom
Savage. All right. So I don't think highly of this guy just yet, unless he can prove otherwise, because remember, he was playing last season, right? So I mean, it's not like he did anything phenomenal then. He got pulled for Osweiler. So that tells you potentially how bad this guy really is. So he got pulled for Osweiler, and
then Osweiler got pulled for him. So it's like
right. So I don't know, Michael. That was just the first name that popped in my head. I was thinking like Chase Daniels or something.
Yeah.
Isn't he a QB somewhere?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways,
he's the backup in Kansas City.
Okay. All right. But didn't he play for Houston? I thought he played for Houston at some point, didn't he?
I think he did, but then he went to Kansas City.
Yeah, I swear he did. So I think I'm just stuck in the past with their offense. Okay. So I feel like to win this game, the Texans defense is going to have to be the one to help win it for them. Like, basically have the offense starting on the Jaguars like 30 or 40 yard line consistently. You know what I'm saying? Because the Jaguars have a good defense as well. That's the thing, is the Jaguars have a very good defense, and so against the Texans offense that is kind of meh, the Jaguars defense could do the same thing. They could be the ones to help win the game for Jacksonville.
I just think, it'd be in the first game back in Houston since Harvey. Like, the crowd is going to be going nuts. Team's going to be off the chain. I mean, I just think.
I mean, they're going to be playing in floodwaters. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, brother. They're going to be playing. What's that game in Final Fantasy 15? Oh man, it's like they played in water. It was funny. Yeah.
So you have And right, so remember, they also have this will be the debut game for Leonard Fournette. And let's not forget. So from a Jaguar standpoint, as long as Blake Bortles can make the throws, first off, he's got Leonard Fournette and Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon. They've got halfback depth. And then let's not forget, they've got Allen Robinson and they've got Allen Hurns, Marquise Lee as wide receivers. So I mean, and they got Mercedes Lewis as a tight end. So I mean, they've got guys for this guy to throw to. And they're all, the only question is whether or not their offensive line is that good. But I mean, we've seen them run before in the past and have success. So I have no doubt the offense line isn't good enough to hold off a mild pass rush. But obviously the flip side is that we know the Texans D is the Texans D, and you got J.J. Watt on the other side and Clowney to have to try to defend against. So they're going to have to come up with some unique plays. But I feel like as long as they can hang on to the ball, Jacksonville will win the game. But if they can't, if Blake Bortles throws interceptions and makes huge mistakes, or the halfbacks can't hang on to the ball, or Fournette can't hang on to the ball for that matter, or he has a dismal game, then yeah, I could see it swinging the other way. So it's all going to come down to how well these new guys contribute to their team and whatnot.
And guys, there is no video right now, but we're working on that sometime in the future, where me and Becker will be side by side on the podcast. You'll be able to see both of us.
Right. Derek, relax. Yes, we're just chit-chatting. This is a sausage fest. I agree.
All right, next up.
All right, so that's that. So you said you predicted Texans to win. I don't feel like I could choose a side, but I feel like it's just going to depend on whichever offense makes the least mistakes will be the one to win the game, because I feel like both defenses are good enough, and the hands of the game is going to be in the hands of the defenses.
All right. Next game. Becker probably don't want to talk about this one. Ravens and Bengals.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals will win. I have the Bengals winning this game. They're at home. AJ Green's healthy. I think Andy Dalton's going to have a better season this season than he did last season. It's just the defense for the Ravens, it's suspect this year.
Yeah, I mean, the only mainstay you have there is Terrell Suggs.
Yeah. The defense is real suspect this year.
They still have, I forget, who was that guy from Denver they got not too long ago? Don't they still have him? The guy who basically Denver failed to sign his contract or whatever, and then they squandered him away. One of the other big defenders, I forget. They got him a couple of years ago.
All right. And Luke, we want to answer that question after we're done, because I do want to answer that question.
Who was it?
It was Luke. He said you got two teams that have relocated to Los Angeles, both of whom were bad last year. Which one would do better this year, and is relocation a possibility for them?
That's weird. I feel like this guy is gone or something, maybe, because I don't see him on here. I would know the name. That's weird. So maybe they don't have him.
Derek Carr will win a hot in.
Oh, Doomerville. That's right. That's who it was. Okay, yeah. So I was going to say he's not there. Doomerville was the guy, because remember he was the guy who they squandered away the opportunity to re-sign him because they took too long to sign his contract or some shit. So then the Ravens scooped him up, but he's gone now. So yeah, so that could be tough for them. I mean, they don't have. He was like either a linebacker or defensive end, something like that. So the Ravens, you got Suggs, you've got Eric Weddle as mainstays. I don't know who any of these other people are. You've got Brandon Carr at CB.
They got him from Oakland, didn't they?
I don't know. Probably. Could be.
Yeah. But yeah, I see Cincinnati winning this game. But, I mean, it's going to be close. Because the AFC North games are close.
Offensively, it'll just be intriguing to see how well Ravens offense can do. I mean, Flacco has been kind of diminishing over the years, so I mean, and he's been losing weapons offensively. Now I know they went out and they got who was it they picked up in the offseason? They picked Jeremy Maclin. They got Jeremy Maclin in the offseason, so they do have some speed. He's not exactly dead yet, but he's definitely towards the end of his career, though. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he can actually make any type of impact on their offense or not.
I mean, yeah, then again, if you think about it,
and what Pitt is gone, so I mean they don't have Pitta anymore, right? I can't remember if they cut him completely. I think they did. Dennis Pitta.
Almost their whole offensive line is gone, Baker. Like, I was looking
Yeah.
at something yesterday. Like, they lost like 15,000 snaps on the offense.
By the way, you can thank the Browns for Dennis Pitta being gone, because they were the ones who injured him last season, and then he's basically gone now. So, yay! No, I'm just playing. All right. Then obviously they have Terrence West, who he was. Terrence West is a former Brown, which he's their starting halfback, but he's always had fumble problems. So it'll I think part of their run game will depend on how well he can hang on to the ball. Thank you, Michael. Yes, he was outside linebacker. I knew he was either end or linebacker, but depending upon their defensive scheme, obviously he could line up on the line, or he could line up in as a linebacker. They have options with how they could use him before.
Hello up there.
All right. Yeah, I don't know about a winner. I mean, I feel like it could go either way. I mean, to be honest, like, I've seen people predicting their records as these two teams going potentially 8-8. So I mean, I don't know. It seems like people are expecting these guys to have dismal years this year, or a dismal year. Sorry.
And next up, we have the Jets at the Bills. Who knows?
The Jets and the Bills.
Who knows who's on the Jets now?
Josh
They have
McCown.
Nobody. That's it. Like, nobody else.
I mean, I feel bad. Look, I'll just say this. I'm just say this right off the bat. I would not. I know a lot of people got the 0-16 chance going.
Yeah.
Don't anyone wish for that for these guys. I mean, I don't think anyone wants to see any team be that bad. I mean, maybe there are people like that, but those are people who thrive on other people's misery, and you are not a good person if that's really how you feel about things in life in general. I don't want to see these guys. I don't want to see these guys go 0-16, even if they were in my own division, because that's just not a good sign. I don't think that they're necessarily tanking, but I feel like they kind of are. I feel bad for Matt Forte, because clearly, I thought he came over here with some expectation that they were going to do something with him from after he left Chicago, and this is his second season here, I think, and now they basically completely dismantled this team.
I'm a
Didn't they get something back though from Seattle? Oh, they got Javon Curse, I think it was Javon Curse from Seattle for the trade for their defensive tackle or whoever they traded to him.
Yeah.
So they traded someone away to get Devon Curse back, so they're expecting to get some wide receivers there. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna win a bunch of games, but I don't want to see them go 0-16. And between the Jets and the Bills, I mean, I feel like this is anyone's game. What's that?
I said 0-16.
Oh God, come on, dude. I know you're a Pats fan, but still, I mean, come on.
Nah,
Let's be nice.
I have them winning like 2 games, though. I have them winning like 2.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like against the Bills, I mean, they could still win that game. It just depends on how much grit you have. Now, granted, you're playing against LaShawn McCoy, who is LaShawn McCoy, and he's not showing any signs of slowing down, so he can single-handedly take over the game. Buffalo's not exactly in a great position either to win the game. They've got Tyrod Taylor back, but they've got Jordan Matthews, but the question is, okay, is he really a one-to-one replacement for Sammy Watkins? I don't know. Stephon Gilmore's gone to New England. Gillislee's gone to New England, so I mean, it's kind of like they lost some guys who, even if they were backups, could have impact to their team in a positive way. So they're losing depth as well. So not only are they losing starters, but they're also losing depth on their team. So that's, but either way, so that's why I feel like this game could go either way. It just depends on which team plays with more grit.
Well, a lot of experts have the Bills winning by 10 plus, so.
I just can't see. I mean, maybe it ends up that way, but I just can't see. So yeah, Bailey, I know. We have time to kind of get into some of these a little bit, but yeah. Well, maybe we have to pick more games to like do the more in-depth review in the beginning or something. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, so I feel like it go anyway. That's my opinion. I mean, that's.
Well, I need to do better job researching because I didn't really research the games I did. This one's on
that's
me.
fine. All right, next one we got Colts and Rams. This, God, I hate to say it right now, but without Andrew Luck playing, this is almost. No, I can't.
Is this gonna
Maybe
be
it's fair to say
week?
because they do have God, who was their running back, Colts halfback that they got from San Francisco.
Carlos Hyde?
Was that?
Wasn't Carlos Hyde, was it?
No. The guy they had before. I forget his name. I'm drawing blanks on all these players. But either way, this could be comparable to a 49ers Rams game of old school. As much as I hate to say it,
Yeah.
that's kind of where the Colts are at this point, unfortunately. I want them to. I feel like the Colts could win this game. Frank Gore. See, Bailey's got it. Frank Gore, that's who it is. So, I mean, he's the Colts' only hope. And that's kind of saying something. I mean, T.Y. can be, but I mean, you've got freaking Tolzien as the Colts quarterback at this point. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, they tried to do some things offensively and defensively. I mean, they got their backup quarterback, the guy from, Brissett from the Pats.
Yeah.
And gave away a wide receiver for that. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I
feel
feel like this is, again, I predict this is going to be like a 49ers-Rams game of old, where it's low scoring. There's probably going to be a lot of field goals, something similar to what we've seen in Madden in the past. The Rams and the 49ers, remember that game was just field goals, or Rams and Cardinals, whoever it was. So I feel like it's going to be one of those games. It's very slow, methodical, can I score a football? Can I score a field goal? When does the football season start? Derek, it started Thursday.
I have the Colts.
Mike says the Colts are going to win. I feel like the Colts can win it, but the Rams minus Donald though. They still have a top-notch D. They have freaking what was that? The guy who was he was with the Texans and he was with the Cowboys at one point. I'm drawing blanks with these guys' names, but the defensive coach, he was a defensive coordinator for Houston and for
Sperano?
No, Sperano's not Sperano. I forget his Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips. Yeah, so he's their D coordinator. So I mean, they'll have a good D. But I mean, offensively, then you've got freaking what's his name? Their draft pick from last year. See if he improves at all. Any QB wise, you've got Dave. Was it Tavon?
Yeah, Tavon Austin.
Yeah, Austin. So I mean, but again, I think it's anyone's game. I feel like the Colts could win it if they play with some grit. They'll be fine, but it's anyone's game, in my opinion. Depends on who plays harder.
Yeah, I can't pick one in that one. That's just.
Yeah. All right, next one I
was going to say the next one.
Okay. The next one we got Panthers and 49ers. Panthers playing at San Francisco.
Upset of the week. 49ers win.
Oh my God. Do you think so? I don't do. You got banned from the zoo, Derek? How did you get banned from the zoo? Anyways.
Yeah, there's no way San Francisco beats Carolina.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I mean, what does San Francisco have in place right now in order to win this game? I mean, other than you got Kyle Shanahan, you got Brian Hoyer, you got Carlos Hyde. What else do you have to maybe win a game offensively? I don't know. Defensively, meh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I feel like it's going to have to be up to the offenses to win the game. This could end up being a high-scoring game for all we know. But then again, Panthers still have a pretty decent defense. So, I mean, it could end up being one-sided or it could be very back and forth.
Yeah.
It's going to be up to the Panthers to show. I feel like if the Panthers want to make – actually, you know what? Let's to backtrack to a previous game. I feel like this is like a Falcons-Bears kind of matchup. I feel like if the Panthers want to prove this year with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield that they have an offense that can compete in their division, you have to destroy the 49ers in this game. If they don't destroy the 49ers in this game, the Panthers are in trouble.
Yeah. All right. Next game, Saints and Vikings. This is my upset. The Saints will go into Minnesota and win.
I don't know if I call that an upset though.
And AP will go for over 120 yards.
Damn, dude. That might be the upset. No, that might be a stretch, but I mean, I don't think it would be considered an upset if the Saints go into Minnesota and win. I think Saints have the key to the game will be, I think, how well Minnesota's defense plays, because Minnesota is expected to have one of the top defenses this year, at least fantasy wise. So I mean, that also should translate to how well they play on the field. So with a top-notch defense, if New Orleans offense can easily get past that defense, then that's going to be a playbook for teams to follow against Minnesota. Minnesota, I mean, what kind of offense are they really going to have? I mean, they lost key players last year. Well, actually, I don't know. Did they just recently lose Cordarrelle Patterson? They don't have Patterson on their team anymore. Obviously, they don't have AP on their team anymore. You know, they've got new weapons they have to try to make use of. And then the question is, how well is Sam Bradford going to play with this team now? I mean, now he's got a training camp under his belt with the team, which he didn't have last year when he came in early season after all that was done. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how well the Vikings offense does, and obviously we know the Saints defense is extremely suspect. So I mean, so it could be a back and forth. This one could be a back and forth high scoring game, but yeah, I feel like ultimately at the end of the day, I would put my money on Drew Brees over Sam Bradford. Right, and I put my money on the combination of Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson over the Vikings no-name halfbacks that they have right now.
Dalvin Cook's not a no-name, sir. All right. Last game of the docket. The Chargers at the Broncos. Broncos will win with their defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of what I feel too. Broncos, I mean, obviously they lost TJ Ward, which that's still a shocker to me that they would be willing to part with one of the hardest hitting players in the game. Wow. But yeah, so the Broncos still have top defense. I think they were number one. No, they weren't top defense fantasy wise even. That was Kansas City. So, but they would still be considered to have a top defense. So, yeah, Chargers. I mean, so now they've got Keenan Allen coming back this year. So last year, remember he got hurt on his first catch of the season and basically was out with an ACL injury or whatever for the season. So now he comes back. Phillip Rivers actually has someone to throw to this year. The question is whether or not that guy can stay healthy. They still have freaking Antonio Gates, the guy who never seems to want to die or go away. So they still have Gates, but I mean. And then they've got Ingram, right? Or not Ingram. What's their halfback? Someone had. I thought you had him.
Melvin Gordon. Yeah, I have him.
Melvin Gordon. That's okay. Yeah, Melvin Gordon. Yeah, so they've got Melvin Gordon. So then the question is going to be whether or not he can actually do what he needs to do. This in this game, can he run? The problem is that if the Chargers can't throw because of that defense, they're going to become one-dimensional, and then the defense can just put 8 in the box, and you're not going to get many rushing yards against the defense with 8 in the box. So it's going to be on Phillip Rivers exclusively to try to win the game, which he can usually pull some stuff out of his butt occasionally, but I feel like that's going to be a tall order for him in this game. The Broncos, I mean, they still have offensive weapons. They still have Emmanuel Sanders, who's a speedy guy. They still have Demaryius Thomas. So they do have guys that they can throw to, but they've got C.J. Anderson in the backfield who, I think it's questionable, debatable whether or not he's going to have a decent season at all. His season last year was very dismal, so I mean, I just don't see him being even 1,000-yard back potentially this season. I think it's just going to depend on how well they've progressed since last year. And what they ended 7-9 last year. So I think based on this first game against the Chargers, that's going to tell us all we need to know about the Broncos season this season.
All right. Well, guys, we got about 5 minutes for questions, and I got to head out because football about to come on.
Yeah, guys. So if you have any questions you want to ask, we've got, there's about 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left till game time. So if you have any questions you want to ask for the next couple of minutes, just go ahead and ask them, and then we'll do what we can to try to answer them. They went 9-7. Okay, my bad. But they didn't make the playoffs though, right? So that was.
No, they didn't.
That was a key thing. I guess why I thought they were 7-9. They waived Ward because of depth at safety. Yeah, but Ward is still a starting safety in the NFL, dude. Where can you go to pet a tiger? You can go to Mike Tyson's house, dude. I heard he has tigers there. If you haven't seen The Hangover.
Yeah, really. Like that was crazy. Like the tiger just walked across the room.
Right. Were there any other questions? And should you play Breeze or Mariota? See, I feel like Breeze. I would take Breeze over Mariota any day of the week. I mean, that's just me, though.
Yeah. Take Breeze, definitely.
Breeze is always going to put on a show for you more often than not. Mariota, I think, is kind of meh. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad, but, I mean, he's not going to have, like, 300 passing yards like Breeze every week.
Yeah. Breeze will have 300 passing yards and at least 2 or 3 touchdowns for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also with Luke's question, I want to answer his question.
Okay.
He said, what was his question? He said, all right, you've got 2 teams that have relocated to Los Angeles. Both of them were bad last year. Which one will be better this year? I would have to say the Rams will be better this year.
Than the Chargers?
Yes, I think the Rams will be better than the Chargers.
That's a tough one, man. I feel like the Chargers could actually be better this year than the Rams. But yeah, that's a tough one right there. But I thought he also asked, is there any chance that one of them could relocate again or something? But that's not going to happen. No.
The Chargers are building their own stadium, and the Rams are building their own stadium. So it's like.
Yeah, I mean that's a real tough one. I mean, I feel like the Chargers still have a better chance of having a better record than the Rams. To be honest, the Rams the Rams don't have an offense. I mean, they have guys in an offense that could be part of a good offense, but I just don't feel like, unless they can prove me otherwise, they just don't have an offense yet. Their defense is top notch and can play top notch, but their offense is still not there. Yeah. What else? Michael said the 49ers defense is nice this year. Dude, how could you say that? Based on what? What do they really do?
What they're doing off.
So guys, I think pet a shark. I think what we're going to do next week is so because we only had the Thursday night game transpire this week, so next week I think format-wise we should open up. We'll have the news, but I think we're going to want to throw in there like a recap of, some of the games that maybe surprised us from this week. We can kind of talk through that too. That way our lightning round could actually be a lot faster. We can spend more time talking about the games from this week, next week. Games that surprised us, games that didn't surprise us, if there were any blowouts or anything like that, maybe what certain teams might be able to do to improve their game going forward, what teams we think are in trouble for the season, and that kind of stuff.
Yep, that'll work.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, hey, thank you all very much for sticking around to watch this kind of preview, as I called it. Hopefully you got some good information out of this. If you guys have feedback, hit me up in Discord. Hit up me, hit up Preston. Do it through a PM. Don't do it on the public thing. That way we can at least see it easily. Yeah. So hit us up on Discord if you have any suggestions for improvements. or anything that you want to talk about maybe specifically next week in our next review preview. So again, the plan is to do this every Sundays, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and carry it around to close to 1 o'clock. So yeah, so thanks for everyone being here. Thank you, Bailey. I appreciate that. And thank you, Preston, very much, dude. Like you said, next week we'll just have to be a little bit more prepared for some analysis.
Yeah.
Go in a little bit more detail.
So, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, y'all have a good day and enjoy some football, and we'll be back next Sunday.
All right, guys. Yeah, let's go. Are you ready for some football? All right, guys. Yeah, thank you all very much again, dudes. And I will see you guys tomorrow night and tomorrow night stream. All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
How do you think it went?